Air Force One. The most important aircraft in the United States Air Force is a plane labeled VC-25A, better known as Air Force One. This plane has a single and very significant function: to provide air transportation for the President of the United States. Technically speaking, Air Force One isn't the name of a specific airplane. Rather, it is the radio call sign for any Air Force aircraft the President is aboard. But most people who hear the term think of the plane dedicated to carrying U.S. presidents across the country and throughout the world. The outside of the plane is decorated with an American flag and the presidential seal. The words United States of America are painted along its sides. The difference between a standard Boeing 747, which is widely used to carry regular citizens from one airport to another, and the Boeing 747-200B that the president currently uses are substantial. The president's plane is loaded with state-of-the-art navigation and communications equipment. The 4,000 square feet of floor space is laid out differently from that of a typical plane. The president has a full suite at his disposal, complete with a dressing room, bathroom, and office. Another large room can accommodate conferences and dining. When the president travels on Air Force One, he is usually accompanied by a large entourage of advisors, guests, Secret Service members, Air Force crews, and members of the news media. Work and rest areas are available for the entire group. 2 food prep stations can serve up to 100 meals at one sitting. The design of the plane is ideal for President and his staff. The plane is largely self-sufficient wherever it goes. Air Force One has the ability to refuel in flight, so it can fly as long as it needs to. The plane is armored and can serve as a mobile command center in a national emergency. The lowest level of the plane is reserved for extra food and other supplies. The flying presidents. Presidents have always had to travel, of course. We often see paintings of George Washington sitting on a horse. Trains were the vehicle of choice for long-distance travel in the 19th century, giving rise to the whistle-stop speeches that continue today as part of political campaigns. Theodore Roosevelt traveled by ship to Panama in 1906, becoming the first president to travel abroad while in office. Official air transportation for presidents began in 1944 with a plane called Sacred Cow, which was used by Franklin D. Roosevelt. Harry S. Truman flew on Independence, while Dwight D. Eisenhower traveled on Columbine 2 and Columbine 3. J.F. Kennedy's official Boeing 707 was the first plane to be called Air Force One. Kennedy approved the blue and white colors on the plane to contrast with the military look of previous presidential airplanes. This was perhaps the most famous version of Air Force One, and it carried 8 presidents over the years. Lyndon B. Johnson was sworn in as president aboard the plane in 1963. Richard Nixon flew aboard the same plane on his historic visits abroad. Revealing character. Some Washington insiders have noticed that the time aboard Air Force One can reveal more about a president's personality than a typical day at the White House can. David Gergen served as an advisor to Presidents Nixon, Ford, Reagan, and Clinton. He was able to observe each of them at the White House and aboard Air Force One. His view is that presidents seem more relaxed and act less formal aboard Air Force One than in the Oval Office. On the airplane, everyone is sitting closer together. According to Gergen, it's a place where you can let your guard down, encouraging more candid conversations. Of Nixon's time on Air Force One, Gergen notes that the president sought privacy, not socializing. Nixon wanted to keep a wall, he says. Ronald Reagan, though easy to get along with, was also somewhat of a loner. Reagan said that he could get more work done on the plane than at the White House. He particularly liked to use his time on board to write letters. Bill Clinton was different, says Gergen. He enjoyed playing cards on the plane and was clearly energized by socializing with others. Sometimes, Clinton recalled, it was the first time in days I had been in a place where I could be away from the phones and get away from mandatory meetings. Air Force One is sometimes referred to as the Flying Oval Office. It may be more tranquil and relaxed than the White House, but a president's duty travels with him no matter where he goes or how he gets there. Number 1. The author wrote this selection most likely to A. Recount the history of presidential transportation in the United States. B. Describe Air Force One and its role in transporting U.S. presidents. C. Compare various U.S. presidents' attitudes toward Air Force One. D. Explain why frequent travel is required of U.S. presidents. 2. The primary purpose of the Air Force One diagram is to F. Describe how Air Force One is designed to maintain security for everyone aboard. G. Present the kinds of tasks the President completes aboard Air Force One. H. Illustrate how the communications equipment functions aboard Air Force One. J. Show that Air Force One is designed to meet the needs of the President and his staff. 3. Read the dictionary entry for the word disposal. Disposal. Noun. 1. The authority to make use of. 2. A giving away or riddance of. 3. A setting of matters for arrangement in a particular order. Which meaning of disposal is used in paragraph 3? A. Definition 1. B. Definition 2. C. Definition 3. D. Definition 4. 4. Paragraph 7 focuses primarily on F. The general atmosphere aboard Air Force One. G. The kinds of meetings held aboard Air Force One. H. The presidential advisors who have traveled on Air Force One. J. The staff members who accompany the President on Air Force One. 5. Which sentence from the selection states an opinion? A. Technically speaking, Air Force One isn't the name of a specific airplane. B. Richard Nixon flew aboard the same airplane on his historic visits abroad. C. Ronald Reagan, though easy to get along with, was also somewhat of a loner. D. The President's plane is loaded with state-of-the-art navigation and communications equipment. 6. Read these sentences from the selection. The outside of the plane is decorated with an American flag and the presidential seal. The words United States of America are painted along its sides. Paragraph 2. Air Force One is sometimes referred to as the Flying Oval Office. Paragraph 10. What idea does the author communicate with these sentences? F. Many people know that Air Force One is used to transport the President. G. The exterior design of Air Force One includes several complex features. H. Parts of Air Force One are modeled after rooms at the White House. J. Air Force One has become a symbol of the U.S. presidency. Seven. Which of these ideas is reinforced throughout the selection? A. The President's duties have not changed over the years. B. Presidential advisors have the opportunity to work closely with the President. C. The President's duties do not cease when he travels. D. It takes the President more time to get work done while traveling than at home. 8. The author organizes the selection by F. Comparing different forms of presidential transportation and then providing reasons why traveling on Air Force One is more convenient. G. Explaining the advanced technology used on Air Force One and then giving examples of how the President uses that technology. H. Stating historical facts about Air Force One and then discussing how it can serve as a mobile command center. J. Describing how Air Force One is different from a standard plane and then providing information about the plane's role in history. 9. In paragraph 3, the author compares Air Force One with a standard Boeing 747 in order to A. Emphasize that Air Force One is a unique plane. B. Explain the need for a larger presidential plane. C. List all the features of Air Force One. D. Describe the roles of specialized crew members. 10. Which sentence supports the idea that presidents feel comfortable aboard Air Force One? F. Air Force One has the ability to refuel in flight so it can fly as long as it needs to. G. His view is that presidents seem more relaxed and act less formal aboard Air Force One than in the Oval Office. H, this was perhaps the most famous version of Air Force One, and it carried 8 presidents over the years. J, presidents have always had to travel, of course.